Today, I am going to teach you some very American expressions. That's coming up. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Interactive English, which is the place you want to be to practice and improve your English skills. And the way we're going to do that today is I am going to teach you some expressions that are very common in the US. And these expressions may be used in other English-speaking countries as well, but some of them are very specific to the US. And as we go through them, I will let you know which ones those are. So let's begin with our first expression. And that is, it's one of my favorite expressions. It's very easy. It's just one word, and that is whatever. Now, as a pronoun, we can use this word to mean, well, a lack of restriction or limitations. And people might say something like, well, you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. In those comments down below, you can write whatever you want.
No, I mean, you're in good shape, and you can eat whatever you want.
Take whatever you want.
I'll tell you what. You play whatever you want.
But we can also use this word as an informal exclamation to show a reluctance to continue talking or to continue having a discussion. And it kind of just shows a bit of indifference, like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. So when I think about the word being used like this, I think about people having an emotional conversation, maybe even an argument, and one person just doesn't want to talk about it anymore. They may just say, whatever. I'm done talking. Whatever.
Believe what you want to believe. I don't even care. Whatever.
You want it mounted on the left or the right or whatever?
The next expression is one that I use a lot. I like using this expression, and it is informal, and it's just my bad. And when somebody says my bad, they are acknowledging that they made a mistake. They did something wrong. And it's not really a really, really horrible mistake, because then I think you want to be a little more apologetic. But if it's just something small and you're not, oh, okay, I did something wrong, my bad. Often, I think it's used quite frequently in sports when you're having a competition and you play on a team and somebody makes a mistake and they'll just say, oh, okay, my bad. You will see this in basketball, soccer, football, any team sport. Somebody makes a mistake. They may point to themselves and say, oh yeah, my bad.
My bad.
My bad.
You left us without saying goodbye.
Oh, my bad.
Get your point there, Bob.
Let him play, Bob.
Sorry. My bad.
Then we have an expression which is more of an idiom, and that is to lose touch with someone. And when you lose touch with somebody, it means that you stop communicating with them. And I think it's common. It happens, especially over a long period of time, that we have friends, but then we lose touch as the years go on and on and on. And you're just not communicating with people. I hope that we never lose touch and that you are constantly writing to me and communicating with me, and we always stay in touch, which would be the opposite. That means you keep communicating. There's an extra one there for you. But if you don't want to stay in touch with me, whatever. I'm just kidding. My bad. I don't want to lose touch with all of you.
After high school, you just kind of lose touch.
Let's not lose touch after graduation.
I guess he's going away on this surfing trip, and I just don't want to lose touch,
Do I know about losing touch? I hope we don't lose touch.
No, we'll hang out.
Then we have an expression which is definitely very American. It's part of the United States, and that is to plead the fifth. Now, when somebody says, I plead the fifth, they may say it informally, and you might hear this on TV and movies, but what it really means is that it's talking about the Fifth Amendment. And in the U.S. Constitution, the Fifth Amendment means that you don't have to talk about something because you don't want to incriminate yourself. Let me explain that in case it doesn't make sense. That say that you are witness to something wrong, but you yourself also did something a bit wrong, and they call you to testify against this other person. They say, I want you to tell us what happened. But you don't want to talk about it because you also did something a little wrong. You might say, I plead the fifth. I don't want to talk about this situation because basically I'm going to be admitting to a crime as well that I committed. So I'm going to plead the fifth. That's a little civics lesson for you, but this expression, it can also be used in situations outside of that context. That even if you're talking to your husband or wife about something and you don't want to be completely honest about a situation because maybe you did something wrong, you could say, I plead the fifth.
Could I plead the fifth?
The fifth is just used to protect yourself.
I'm pleading the fifth.
Fine, just try to keep your secrets, I dare you.
Please tell me that you haven't planned anything big tonight.
Well, on your birthday, sorry, but I plead the fifth. How about you?
Where? Yeah.
I'm pleading the fifth.
I'd advise that you do that.
Then we have an expression which is commonly confused, and that expression is, I couldn't care less. So if somebody says, I couldn't care less, it just means that the amount of concern that they have about something could not be less. This is the least thing that they could possibly be concerned about. I couldn't care less. Now, often, I think this is used in kind of the heat of the moment when you're talking about something and you just want to tell this person, look, I don't care. I couldn't care less. But people will confuse it and they say, well, I could care less. And that means kind of, the opposite, that there are many other things that you could care less about, and that's not what you want to say. So keep that in mind. Don't confuse it with, I could care less. I couldn't care less. That's the one you want. Stick with that.
And you just want more money for yourself, don't you?
Couldn't care less.
I couldn't care less about the commendation.
Anyway, Amy, thank you for sticking up for me.
Oh, I honestly couldn't care less.
Then we have another, I guess it's just one word, and that is like. Now, I'm putting this in there just for your comprehension, not for you to go out and use it. This is something that you might hear young teenagers use, and they use it as a meaningless interjection when they're having a conversation. Just during their informal speech, it just may be riddled with like. And people get into these bad habits, and it just takes time to grow out of them.
Great meal.
Delicious.
Yeah, it was like one of the best meals I ever had.
And I was all like, no way.
So if you're watching a TV show or movie that is about high school, then you might hear it a bit more. So it's more for your comprehension, not for you to try and just go out and use and start using this. It's just for you to be aware of it. So let me try to give you an example. So I wanted to go to the movies this weekend with my friend, but she was like, I can't because I have to do my homework. And we couldn't hang out that night, which meant I didn't do anything, which was totally boring. Okay, all right. That sounded ridiculous, especially hearing me say that, but I'm going to say it again. And now I'm just going to take out all of those likes, and you tell me if you think it makes more sense. So I wanted to go to the movies this weekend with my friend, but she said she can't because she had to do homework, and we couldn't hang out that night, which meant that I didn't do anything, which was very boring. So as you can see, I think it's much easier to understand when we take those likes out. But again, if you are listening to a teenager talk in the United States, especially I think if you're in places like California, then you may hear this word used quite often.
When Ross was in China on this dig, Chandler let it slip that Ross was in love with Rachel. She was like, oh my God.
I mean, I was, whoa.
The next expression is to give someone props. And this is actually a bit of slang. It may be more regional, and it depends on your age that you might say this, or maybe you might hear this expression. But to give someone props means that you are recognizing them, you are acknowledging them for some reason, something that they did. Again, it's very informal, so I think of it maybe just to give you an example, at work, you're like, yeah, my boss really gave me props for all the hard work I did. I want to give all of you guys props for watching our video lessons. You guys are like the best. It just sounds awkward and unnatural when I say like.
Some people give you props for challenging the ghoulies to a race and beating them.
I had to pop a cop because he wasn't giving me my props in Oaktown.
You and your friends have accomplished the impossible. For that, I give you mad props.
Then we have John Hancock. This is another one. It's very American. It's really just used in the United States. And you would talk about it in the context of, well, I need to get your John Hancock, or I need you to give me your John Hancock. And when they're talking about your John Hancock, they're talking about your signature. So if somebody were to say, hey, you know, I just need to get your John Hancock right here, they're telling you, well, you need to sign right there. So where does this come from? Well, John Hancock supposedly was the first person to sign the Declaration of Independence. And when he signed his name, he signed it abnormally large. It's the largest signature on the Declaration of Independence. And people say that the reason that he did this is because the king didn't have very good eyesight and he wanted to make sure that he could see John Hancock's signature. So now that name has now become a reference to somebody's signature. I need to get your John Hancock.
Mr. Callahan, I need your John Hancock on these reports.
If I could just get you John Hancock, Sergeant?
So we'll just need your John Hancock right here.
And now the old John Hancock.
The next expression is also an idiom, and that is to get ahead of oneself. And this just means that you are planning prematurely, or maybe you're being a bit overconfident. So for example, if you are going to take a trip, but that trip is a long ways off, you don't really need to start planning now. But if you do plan now, somebody might say, look, okay, wait, you're getting ahead of yourself. We don't need to start planning for this now. Or as far as overconfidence goes, perhaps you have an idea and you start thinking of this idea and all of the amazing things that can come out of it. And you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then we can do this. And you start thinking about it, and you're like, well, maybe I'm starting to get ahead of myself, and I just need to take it one step at a time. So if you're planning prematurely, if you're a bit overconfident, then you might be getting ahead of yourself.
Well, I told you I would learn better if I had a study buddy.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
No, that'd be too much. Maybe I'll call him Pappy. Oh, look at me, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Might be cause for celebration.
Wow, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
The next expression is another one of my favorites. It's very short, very simple. 3 words, it's all good. And if somebody says, hey, it's all good, it just means that everything is fine. Often I think people might say it kind of in the context of telling somebody else to relax. All right, don't worry about this, relax. It's all good. Perhaps somebody's trying to plan prematurely and they're really getting ahead of themselves and they're like, oh, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. And you would just tell them, hey, it's all good. Don't worry about it. I got it taken care of. It's all good.